Hey YouTube, I wanted to talk about something that a couple of my customers mentioned and they had questions about. Uh, Sometimes I'll sharpen a knife and people will say it. I'll sharpen a couple knives for people, and I'll say it doesn't feel as sharp. Um, a lot of times that has to do, and I want you guys to keep in mind with this, the thickness of the blade stock. So if you look at my Reat Horizon D, it thins. It has a long taper where it grinds, where the grind goes down and it thins out really well, as opposed to something like this Puma Stag Buoy, which has a really thick blade stock, but the primary grind doesn't start until it's clear down here. So this, I mean, it's really thick at the edge. But to bring that edge back and thin it out would, for a lot of people, be not aesthetically pleasing, because it would be a very, very wide grind. It would probably start back here somewhere to thin that out to where it felt. Now, is it sharp? Yeah, it'll push cut phone book paper, but it's a much more obtuse angle. And a more obtuse angle is going to not feel like it slices as well. This is a beater. This is a knife that's meant for chopping and hard use. So when you're looking at, when I sharpen a knife, a lot of times I will find the angle that best suits the knife. Sometimes it's a couple degrees back from the manufacturer's grind. On this one, it was basically the same grind, because the blade stock was nice and thin and it had a pretty good sharpening bevel. You guys all have seen my videos of how much I love my NTAC. However, while Elliot's sharpening job was extremely good, it was very sharp, it just needed to come back a couple degrees from where he had it just to give it the cutting ability that I wanted it to have. So when I sharpen a knife for folks, and I like to ask, do you want it to maintain the angle, the sharpening angle that came with the knife, or would you like it brought back? You know, it's up to you guys how you want it. So if you have a knife that's got a thicker stock, like this knife has a lot thicker stock, not necessarily thicker stock, the stock's about the same, but if you look at how much distance there is from the spine to the edge, there's a lot more thinning of this blade than there is of this. It doesn't mean that this knife's any sharper than this. It just means that for certain applications, this will feel sharper than this does, because it's just by the merits of how it was made is going to be a little bit thicker, and it's not going to have the super thin cut ability like a Scandi grind is amazing for certain applications, but it's not always the best choice for what you want. This blade stock on this knife is thinner than, say, this one. This blade stock is a good bit thicker. You can't really see it. I know you're not going to be able to see it in the video. But the way this knife is ground versus the flat grind on this blade actually has a thinner profile behind the edge. There's less metal behind that edge than the Spider Cow, even though this is a thinner knife overall blade stock, because the grind doesn't start until about the midpoint of the blade. So just something to think about. If you do send me a knife that you want sharpened, you're going to have to kind of specify how you want that edge. I mean, because if you don't specify, I'm going to pretty much follow the original manufacturer's edge, and then I'm just going to polish it down. I may take it back a couple degrees. I'll feel it and see what it feels like. But generally, I don't change the edge profile, because reprofiling a blade does add to the overall cost, and unless you're asking for that, it's not figured in when I quote you guys a price. So just something to keep in mind. You know, just because a knife is sharp, it might not feel in use as sharp. Like I said, this knife are pretty similar in the blade stock thickness. As a matter of fact, it looks like they could be almost identical. but this blade is going to do certain things better in certain applications than my N-Tac. My Ferrum Forge is not going to slice as well as this one will because it has more distance in the grind from that flat grind from the spine to thin out. So, like I said, if you send me a knife, I want pictures so that I can see those things and I can make recommendations if you want me to thin it out. So, and then I'm going to do a video, like I said, about my Sig Sauer, but I'm also going to do, I have a handful of exotic, off-the-wall, unusual kind of knives. I love these things. They're pretty fun. I've got several of these. And I maybe will do some videos of some of the off-the-wall, unusual things. It's not a butterfly knife. It's what's called a enclosed folder. So you have a folding knife, and then the lock is actually the secondary outer handle. So you don't have the whole swing of a butterfly knife, but you can open it every bit as fast as a switchblade. So, all right. Like I said, trying to keep my videos a little bit shorter because I know not everybody wants to watch a 20-minute video, but I'm pretty sure there's a 20-minute video out there in the near future. So, all right, YouTube, you guys have a good evening. I'll talk to you later.